Tonight, and Izzy, what did he say about the whole incident?
Reggie, 42-year-old Daniel Jensen says that he is still shaken and visibly emotional when you see him talk about what happened that night. He says being tased by police not only impacted him, but his two children who watched it all happen. Daniel describes the Pinellas Park police actions that night as, quote, brutal, and he says they showed no compassion.
All I remember is laying in water being electrocuted for trying to save my home.
Burns on Daniel Jensen's body 4 days later mark where police tased him. As he says, he tries doing what any father or husband would do, protect his family's home from a grease fire flaring out of control behind his neighbor's home Thursday evening.
I was calling for my daughter. I was getting no response. So I came out, grabbed the hose, and started to spray her room, which is right here, until I heard she was out.
But with each attempt, Daniel says Pinellas Park police keep pulling him back, even though firefighters are nowhere in sight.
And they kept telling me, just let it go. That's what insurance is for. And that wasn't acceptable to me.
In essence, you were defying a police officer's orders.
I don't believe I was. I believe I was doing what any homeowner would do, and that's protect his family and his home.
When Daniel sees the fire jump onto his back roof, Daniel says he grabs the hose once again. That's when a police officer grabs a taser.
As I went to grab the hose, I heard an officer on this side of me. There was a boat here. He was in front of the boat. Said to hit him, take him down, tase him. And I didn't know that they were talking to me or about me. I was concerned about putting water on the fire. And the next thing I knew, I was being tased.
Did the officer who tased you ever warn you what he was going to do?
No. According
to Pinellas Park police policy, an officer will use a taser when other control techniques would likely result in a physical confrontation that may cause injury to the officer or person. But the officer must first give a verbal warning he is going to use a taser.
It was horrible. I was laying in a puddle of water being electrocuted. And, here's the people that are here to protect us, and I'm trying to protect my family and neighbors, and they're the ones that are bringing harm to me. I don't understand it.
Pinellas Park police officials tell us they did exhaust all options that night. They say they were simply trying to protect Daniel and the police officers from that raging fire. They also tell us they could have charged Daniel with obstruction for not listening to officers.
Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. Today is Wednesday, November 14th, 2012, and I'm Darko. So there you go. I feel like a broken record because I've actually just did this video. I did about 11 minutes and it froze up again, just like last week. So I just like to say, whoever the asshole is that's fucking with my computer connection and hacking my network, I hope you rot in hell, you piece of scum. All right, so it's going to be hard because I already did all this, like I said. So for me, it's like doing it twice. But for you, it's like the first time. So I'll just forget I just did it. Yeah, so what they're saying is that this person is actually lucky because if they had given him a warning, well, then, he would have deserved it. So, but of course, the pigs are lying, saying that they did give him a warning, right? Which is silence. Silence is consent. So while the guy was actually trying to save his home, they were probably like, we're going to tase you, and he didn't hear it because he was too busy trying to save his home and protect his family. That was consent for them, so they went ahead and just tased him, electrocuted him. So that's why they say he's to serve and protect. Taser incident damages Australia police reputation. Not really sure how much of a reputation they had to begin with, but it says an Australia coroner tasked with investigating the death of this Brazilian student who was tasered by several police officers in Sydney in March, has called for the policeman to face disciplinary action for the role in the deadly incident. It said basically that the actions of the police officers were reckless, careless, dangerous, and excessively forceful while stopping short of recommending criminal charges. Curdy died within minutes of being tasered up to 14 times, sprayed with pepper spray, handcuffed, and held to the ground after running away. I think it was like with a candy bar. I think that's what it was. But the police officers had no idea what the problem was or what the threat or crime was supposedly to be averted, or didn't have any concern for value of life. So I have a lot of news to get to. And and I'm going to be moving fast here, so just stick with me here. That dog may cost you $100,000 a day. So I just reported on how a mother was given like a $2,500 fine by police. Basically, got a ticket for a toddler peeing in the front yard. Also, you had an individual fighting for the right to maintain or keep their garden because it's a violation of code. It says California's latest experiment in faith-based policy making, whatever the hell that means, is being unleashed today on the San Diego public. It goes on here and it says that we wish we were exaggerating, and some of the new regulations include owners of cars and house or dogs and turns them into criminals. So it goes on, it says ordinary homeowners may face 6 years in prison and fines of $100,000 a day if they're deemed serial offenders of such new crimes as allowing sprinklers to hit the pavement, washing a car in the driveway, or conceivably failing to pick up dog poop promptly in their backyards, let alone this sidewalk. Then next up we have Somalia, a news website run by U.S. military aims to counter insurgents. So this is a new article. It says this site that's up here and another one like it centers on Northwest Africa, is part of a propaganda effort by the U.S. military's AFRICOM aimed at countering extremists in two of Africa's most dangerous regions. So yeah, it's a dangerous region because they haven't been able to defeat the people, the real Somali people. So like I said before, anywhere where it's a cesspool and it's third world and there's war and killing and maiming and stuff like that, it's usually a place that is fighting the globalists and the Zionists. So this is what you get. But they're trying to counter that, the U.S. intelligence community. Remember, they have CIA is all around Somalia, in the Djibouti, whatever, area, Camp Lemonnier base, Ethiopia, carrying out drone strikes. Somalia does have a war on journalism. It says exploring the media landscape in a country where going to work has become a life and death decision for reporters. So basically, like I said when I just did this a few minutes ago, there's not really much reporting going on. It's repeaters, like David Icke says. They're just regurgitating what they've been told. And if they don't do that, they'll get fired or their children might get killed. So I'll get into that later about what I'm referring to. But yeah, Somalia knows about propaganda, and that's why they have a war on journalists. But we know that CIA owns the media and Jews own the CIA, so it makes sense that all of this is coming together like that. So even Indy newspaper funded by U.S. government, there's a deep network uncovered as fake Indy rag is forced to disclose funding. This is actually from 2011, but it ties in after initially trying to downplay, obfuscate, and deny accusations that the Thai independent nonprofit daily web newspaper, Prachate, was in fact a U.S.-funded propaganda front. And it goes on here, it says it was evidence taken directly from the U.S. government-funded National Endowment for Democracy website. So, and of course they took this from the British model. That's what they do. The British model was to go around and create newspapers, and they had to have one side, then they would have the opposition side, and they would just lead them to exactly where they want them to, like pawns or pieces on a chessboard. Of course, getting people to rally, and then they would go in there and immerse themselves in provocateur and stuff like that. Jordanian textbooks put Israel on the map. So it says 2 textbooks given out to Jordanian school children caused an uproar among anti-Zionist groups in the Hashemite kingdom recently by listing Israel on the map of the Middle East, but failing to include Jordan and Palestine. When you go down in here, it says, according to the association, one of the books that features the map warns students against smoking, while the other deals with proper eating habits. So I'm not really sure what the big push for it is with the whole anti-smoking and anti-obesity programs or policies by these globalists, but we know that they don't give a crap about your health because they don't want to label genetically modified foods. They spray you with nanoparticles and chemicals every day. They pulse you with electromagnetic frequencies of microwaves, among many other things. The books were part of a series financed by the American Foreign Assistance Agency, USAID. So who is USAID? USAID is the same one that was spying in Russia and now Latin America. So the ejection of USAID from Russia was long awaited and welcome development. They've repeatedly warned its U.S. partners via an array of channels of communication that the tendency of USAID to interfere with Russian domestic affairs was unacceptable, and particularly that the radicalism of its pet NGOs in the Caucasus would not be tolerated. It goes on and says that the truth that USAID hosts CIA and U.S. defense intel operatives is not deeply hidden. They play a role in every American coup, providing all this support to respective oppositions. USAID also typically seeks engagement with the local armed forces and law enforcement agencies, recruiting within them agents ready to lend a hand to the opposition when the opportunity arises for color revolutions or provocateuring, what I was just talking about. And if you hopefully you remember, just recently, Iran's satellite for basically their press TV and all of their media coverage went down. Basically, it was shut down by the EU and that. So now Russia is having the same situation, or glitches. Actually, Russia's had a few glitches that their website went down a couple times before. Power cable failure cuts off Russia from satellites and International Space Station. So they quoted an unidentified source who said a power cable failure near Moscow has disconnected their specialist satellite controllers from civilian satellites. And the 10 companies that control the news. I'm going to keep moving for time's sake, but the links will be posted in YouTube's video description. I have learned in college about media consolidation, where basically, you're getting most of the opinions in the news are coming from less than 10 companies, kind of like most of the food that you get is from like less than 6 companies. So, I mean, that's all it takes when they pull the plug on this, and they can create chaos whenever they want, like they're doing in Israel right now before the elections. Yeah, these opinions are usually coming from globalists and Zionists, so you're getting the same thing. So you're never going to really see a real grassroots opposition voice. And when you do, like this $43 trillion lawsuit I was just talking about, someone on the comment board made me aware of this. I was not aware of this. The CNBC individual vice president had 2 kids murdered hours after being put on the net about this story. So how about that? CNBC article on $43 trillion banker lawsuit, bailout lawsuit, has been taken down just as I thought it would be. Link goes to an empty page now, and CNBC Sr. Vice President Digital Executive, 2 kids killed hours after being put on the net. This is from the Inquisitor, so this is real news here. The 26th, CNBC executive Kevin Krim's children stabbed to death by Nanny in Manhattan. This is how powerful these people are. They just totally neutralize any opposition because because people are powerful, especially someone like this, where they can actually put this out. Then all the other news agencies would probably carry it, So they don't want that, and they could have just killed this guy, but he's a CNBC digital exec. He's supposed to be on board with the globalists. So what they do? Well, instead they probably just hired this nanny. Who was possibly an assassin, which I don't think it was. I think it was just a normal nanny who they pulsed the hell out of with frequencies until eventually she had stabbed the 2 children with a knife to death. So that's how good these guys are, how freaking slick they are. They can pin 2 different people against each other by pulsing them with microwaves. So they don't have any blood on their hands. The United Nations wants control of web kill switch. Now this is, of course, this is why they want to shut down the net, because, I'm not boosting myself up, but there's a lot of other people on the internet that are doing the same thing that I'm doing. And, this flow of information and these ideas of, breaking through the paradigm, the issues that I've been talking about with Zionists and stuff like that, and our culture being killed off. Those are dangerous ideas, and thanks to the internet, that's how we've been able to get them out there. So they have to try to stop this. It says an unfettered internet, free of political control and available to everyone, could be relegated to cyber history under a contentious proposal by a little-known United Nations body. So I think they've actually been pushing gun control right after the election too, the UN. But it's all going to be in the name of security, right? So. Draft of the proposal, formulated in secret and only recently posted on the ITU website for public perusal, reveal that if accepted, the changes would allow government restriction or blocking of information disseminated via the internet and create a global regime of monitoring internet communications, including the demand that those who send and receive information identify themselves. So that's, they're going to get into licenses, because when you can license someone to do something, you can revoke it. Internet piracy, 6 strikes and you're out. This is, of course, the copyright infringement system. So The major ISPs are going to be following this if they're not already. They actually include temporary reductions of internet speed. Thank you.